Welcome back. You're watching SA Today. Now, today is World No Tobacco Day, a day that's observed around the world every year on the 31st of May, and it's intended to encourage a 24-hour period of abstinence from all forms of tobacco consumption around the world. Now, cigarette smoking harms nearly every organ of the body and causes many diseases and reduces the health of smokers in general. Now, to talk to us about some of the risks associated with smoking, we're now joined in studio by Ntokozo Ngubane, who's a registered dietitian with the Heart and Stroke Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, so often when we talk about cigarette smoking, most people think about lung cancer.
Yes.
But there are other risks, like your heart.
Yeah. So it definitely does cause cancer. So tobacco smoking is one of the leading risk factors for lung cancer. But it does not only cause that. So it's a toxin in the body that can affect, like you said, any part of the body. Specifically, we'll talk about the heart today. So when you smoke tobacco, it contains nicotine. So nicotine is a highly addictive substance. When you take it, it makes you want to crave more tobacco. Now, the problem is that nicotine, it increases your heart rate, it increases your blood pressure. So if this is high constantly, it can lead to a risk factor for heart disease and stroke. Now, we don't usually think stroke when you think tobacco smoking. The other thing is also with the smoke that comes out, there's carbon monoxide gas. Now, that gas is also not good for your heart because it replaces your oxygen in the body. So the blood in the body is supposed to transport oxygen and nutrients to all parts of the body. So you can imagine if there's not enough oxygen in the blood, it means your heart, your brain, all the other parts of the body are not getting enough oxygen. So this further again increases your risk for heart disease and stroke. And all these other effects that are in tobacco, they contribute to the formation of atherosclerosis. This is the narrowing of your blood vessels. And if this happens, it increases your risk for heart attack and stroke. And tobacco is also one of the leading risk factors for heart disease and stroke. And it's something that you can prevent.
So a number of these heart attacks that are out there can be associated to smoking directly.
Yeah.
So is it ever too late to stop, and then can you reverse some of the damage that you've caused to your heart maybe?
So I would encourage everyone that is not smoking to not think about starting, because like I mentioned, tobacco contains nicotine, which is addictive. It doesn't mean that you can't quit, but it's difficult to quit. There are support systems for people who are trying to quit that will help them. So it doesn't necessarily risk, but it will decrease your risk. It will lower your risk. It will stop the progression. So you can stop if you have already started. If you haven't, please don't try. Don't start.
There's also talk about the secondary smoke, and that's you're not a smoker, but you're sitting and spending time with smokers. How dangerous is that for my heart health if you're smoking in front of me?
So again, secondhand smoking research has shown that we are at risk, which is why there is a proposed new bill that is protecting other people that are not smoking. So the secondhand smoke exposure can harm your health as well. So there need to be regulations to protect people who are not smoking. So people can't be smoking in open areas where there's a crowd around, or where there's a child in the car or in a restaurant. So it is also it will also harm your health whether you are smoking or not. So it's important that if you are smoking, try and quit. If you are smoking, then stay away from everyone else, just so that they're not exposed, because it will not only harm your heart and your brain, but it will also harm your lungs. It can also cause TB as well. So it really affects every part of the body, and all the poisonous toxins and the chemicals that are added in these things your body doesn't need. So if you're not smoking, you're not losing out on anything.
So again, smokers will come up with low tar or those really thin cigarettes and create this impression for themselves that they're smoking less and therefore it's less harmful.
So there is now those new vaping. Vaping has become the newest trend, and especially and the hookahs as well. It targets the youngsters. It's more appealing with the flavors that they add as well. It's more appealing to the youngsters, and it's a problem because if they start then, already they're putting themselves at risk of all these other diseases that they might even experience when they're older. So and all these substances still contain nicotine, they still contain poisonous chemicals, it still contains tar, even if it might be less there. Any form of smoking is not good. So no form of smoking is healthier than the other. Just don't smoke at all. You really don't need those chemicals. If it's a stress relief for you, try find other means. Exercise, talk to someone rather than turning into smoking, because it might be difficult for you to stop and you're putting yourself at risk for these other diseases. And vaping as well, it hasn't been around for such a long time. We know heart disease and stroke, it's something that develops over time, it progresses. So we don't have sound research that will say it's safe to use in 10, in 20, in 50 years' time. So we can't wait until then to say it actually is not good for you. So rather stop now, because the chemicals that are there, we do know that they are poisonous.
All right, so bottom line, don't smoke, don't expose yourself to smoke. And if you are smoking, try and reduce and stop, because your health is being affected. And it's not just about cancer. Definitely it's a problem, but your heart and stroke is something that could be a result of that as well. All right, we're going to have to leave it there, but thanks so much indeed for coming through and sharing your insights with us on this day.
Thank you.